Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. As always, I'm your host, Christian Hunt, and AKA over there, okay, also known as I prefer Papa John's over Domino's. I think one look at me and you'll understand, man, I ain't missed a meal or two that often. But enough about me. Who's this douche canazzle right over there?
Chris the fucking man Vaca, dude. I didn't get enough time to edit that in there. I would agree though with the Papa John's, man. I like Papa John's pizza better than Domino's, so I would 100%.
I was gonna say, is that your favorite go-to?
I'm not a monster pizza person, but if I had to, yes. Like on the fly, you're hanging out with your woman, it's a late night, you need to order something quick, man. Yeah, if I'm going pizza, absolutely, dude. I love some Papa John's, man, for sure.
Let me throw a hard one out here at you, because I think I've got my answer locked and loaded. People in the Midwest, they will hopefully appreciate this. Casey's or Papa John's?
Oh, Jesus. It's going to be Casey's for most people just because it's so popular here in the Midwest. But I would still take Papa John's over Casey's Pizza, for real.
It's a little tough.
I mean, that's not the rest of the fan base. I mean, somebody else might fucking tell me different. But what do you got over there hidden there, buddy? It looked like you were either playing with yourself or looking for something.
No. I'll tell you what I was looking for, and you bring up a good point here. We need help settling the debate here. And underneath this video, I want you to comment, which picture you prefer. Which picture looks better here, okay? Because whichever one you guys say looks better, Chris is going to get mounted above his, his what do you call that? There. You're going to get it you're going to get it hung up above your mantle.
Oh, is what you'll do. I got one way above there. Yeah, I can put that up there. Absolutely.
All right. Help us decide here. Yeah. Got a little bit of this right there.
I've never seen this before. This is fucking awesome. You look good, Christian. That's about right. You're beneath me. Just a little lad right there. That's perfect.
I feel like a mini me almost a little bit right there.
God, dude, I fucking love it, dude. That's awesome.
Now, if you like that one, you'll probably, hopefully, really.
If I had to vote, I'd vote that one, even though I'm the guy in the baby. Whoa. Is that a little Photoshop with your arms? There's no way you got some veins poking through that right bicep. There is no way. Yeah, come on, bro. Who'd you get that off? Like The Rock or somebody?
Bro,
come on, man.
As me a couple of pizzas ago, bro. It's long before Papa John was in there right there. I think
that's awesome.
Man, wow. Just in case, again, we'll show you it's between that right there for you. Or we got a little bit of that going on right there. We got Children of the Corn in the comments, and see which one. I think he said something about Tommy Frazier right there.
Hero, bro. Best quarterback ever here. Absolutely.
I'm more of a Jared Lorenzen guy. I think they'd believe that more so.
Well, you do definitely look the role. That's 100%, spot on, brother. Hey, so let's kick it in, man. What the hell are we talking about today? As I always bust in here with that comment. What do we got today, man? What are we doing? What we chatting on today?
Well, we got a little bit of, seems ironic because we're on this Vanderbilt shit, but we'll get to that here in a bit. We're going to get into a little bit of Louisville football. I'm going to talk a little bit of 2023 Louisville Cardinals, preview a little bit of them, kind of talk about last year, what went right, what went wrong. Chris, what are your thoughts about Louisville here, brother?
Hey, I'll keep it real quick here with Louisville. I know we've had some like in-depth, conversations about them as far as like the ACC, because we've touched on them, Clemson, Florida State, some of those teams. I think that like Louisville, we're kind of in that weird space, I think, with them, right? They're kind of, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion. I mean, most people are probably going to glance past them on a schedule and say, fuck those guys. Louisville's been Louisville for the last, 6-7 years since Lamar's left. But they did some things last year. They did some positive things. I believe they finished Christian, 8-5, somewhere around there. Not a bad deal. They do bring back, though, I believe, a pretty good defense. I think we'll dig deeper into that here. But I think Louisville's one of those teams in the ACC. And the ACC, I don't want to say is up for grabs. I think everybody would agree that, hey, it's Clemson, it's Florida State. I think you can throw UNC in there. But the next team is kind of Louisville hovering around, in my opinion. Kind of up for grabs in that ACC, Christian. What's your thoughts real quick on that, man?
Yeah, as far as like kind of keeping pace up there in the ACC this year, I absolutely could see it. Now I will say this: I was wrong. I was wrong on.
You're never wrong
though. Well, and I don't want to ever foster a show or a podcast, if you will, that promotes being wrong and us kind of sweeping it under the rug. I'm going to stop for a second to make a big deal about this. I think originally, and I'd said this, if you go back and look at some of the podcasts, I originally thought Malik Cunningham was going to come back this year and be the quarterback for him.
I think a lot of us did.
And I think it was a very late decision there. He did declare for the draft. I think he just got drafted in the USFL. So he is not going to be the quarterback for Louisville this year. So I had to kind of scramble and start figuring out a lot of the information here, so I can kind of do that for you. Yeah, look, you asked the question: do I foresee them being able to compete at the top of the ACC or compete for one of those spots? I absolutely do. I mean, we're going to get into their schedule here in a little bit. It's a very favorable schedule. I'll kind of preview that. Now, there's some interesting things there that are kind of going to be interesting. We talk about Jeff Brom stepping back over for Purdue. Man, Chris, you want to talk about a guy who was literally born to be the Louisville coach? Is Jeff Brom.
100%, dude. He played there. I believe he was an undrafted free agent coming out of there, played in the NFL with the Chargers and a couple other teams. The guy had a massive arm, by the way. I mean, if a lot of people don't know that, this guy could play. He is a guy that I would play for as a player if I was younger. Obviously, I'm an old, decrepit piece of shit, but this guy, like, to me, like, I watched him a lot at Purdue, right? I think it was 2017 when he arrived at Purdue, roughly. Last year he brought him to a Big Ten title game. Thank God Nebraska knocked off Iowa. I'm going to add that in there just to put Purdue in. But no, Jeff Brom's dude. The guy's a great coach, man. He's up and coming. His alma mater, he's back there, right? We talk about that a lot on the podcast about coaches going back to their alma mater. He coached there once before. I believe he was like the play caller or the offensive passing coordinator back in the day when he graduated, or not graduated, but after he came back from the NFL, worked his way up kind of up the ranks, right? And I think that he's got a really, really good chance to do something with this program, Dan. And I'm happy for Louisville in a way because they got a tough-nosed, no bullshit type of guy behind the helm, essentially, as far as the head coach goes. And I like I said, man, I'm happy for Louisville. I think you can expect good things out of Louisville this year. They had a decent season last year for sure. Schedule looks like it's pretty freaking favorable, as we'll dig deeper in here in a minute. But Christian, what do you think, man? I mean, tell me about Jeff Brom, man. Something I don't know about this guy.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, he definitely, like I said, he grew up in Louisville. Like you said, played at Louisville, came back and he coached for Louisville. You kind of touched on that. Here's the thing. Even in his coaching career, you look at some of the stops he's been at, and you really go right up until Purdue for the most part. I mean, he's kind of been Louisville, Western Kentucky, like that kind of area has kind of been, where he wants to be at. It seems to be over in Kentucky in those areas. Here's the reality of it, man. I mean, he guided Purdue to a 36-34 record, but when he was at Western Kentucky, okay, he was 30-10 during that stretch there. Yeah. I mean, he was pretty damn good. I think he's going to get better. I think he's an above 500 coach. I think it's, and I know it sounds crazy. It's hard to win at Purdue. I mean, they've had some damn good coaches that have done a lot more with a lot less, and that's kind of been their motto. But I think going to Louisville, he's going to be able to get a little bit better players out there, right?
Yeah, I think so. And Children of the Corn just commented in, you don't think he can do it as Louisville's coach, and I disagree. I like Jeff Brom. I think he's a guy. It's his alma mater. He spent a lot of time, like Christian just mentioned, right in that area. What he did to Purdue when he got there, Purdue was terrible. Before he got there. People are going to go, he was 36-34 after his 5 years. Well, that was a hell of a lot better. And I believe, like, when he got there, I think, Purdue was a predominantly bottom feeder in the Big Ten, right? I mean, it's not – ACC's obviously, where he's at with Louisville, they're expecting more out of him as a head coach. But I'm not going to put it past this guy. You ever hear him talk, Christian? I mean, he's a motivational guy. He's a tough dude. He knows he's got some pretty great stats at Louisville when you play quarterback there. The guy knows how to play quarterback and coach quarterback, I believe. And on top of that, offensive coordinate, basically their offense. And we're going to dig deep here into Louisville here in a minute. Their defense is already great. They returned a lot of guys from last year's team. You can get that offensive going. I think that Louisville's got a very good shot to be one of the top teams in the ACC this year.
Yeah, and you said it best. I mean, Louisville last year, they actually had the 24th best defense. So, I mean, from a total defensive standpoint, that's not bad at all. You compare that to Purdue and Ron English. They ranked about 53rd last year. Again, I think when you look at the kind of athletes that Louisville is going to field compared to Purdue, you look at the ACC compared to the Big Ten, a little difference there. I mean, would you not agree?
Yeah, 100%, man. It's going to be their defense is going to keep them in games. The big thing with Malik Cunningham being gone, who we thought for a while that was coming back, they're bringing in a guy. I think it's Jack Plummer. I mean, I guarantee Brom's working with him, man. He's done great things at Purdue with the quarterbacks that they've had in the past. He's going to get that offense going, man. They're going to be fine. I really, truly think that in my mind that Louisville's going to be one of those kind of sleeper, sneaky teams, that's going to creep in there in the ACC. Now, don't get me wrong. They're a little bit top heavy with Clemson, with Florida State, but they're going to be, they could, we'll dig into the schedule here, but I mean, they're not a bad team. And I think that's kind of why we wanted to bring them up today and talk about them a little bit, because they're one of those teams that, people are going to sleep on. Last year, TCU, nobody thought TCU was going to be worth a shit, even though they returned a lot of starters. Look at what they did. And that's kind of what we want to be on top of this, right? Christian is kind of bring up some of these sleeper teams during the preseason, off season here. Talk about some teams that probably don't get enough love, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a situation where, and again, you said it at the top of the broadcast here, Louisville's a team that if some things kind of go their way, they could be in the thick and they could be hunting for in his first year. And that wouldn't be atypical for Jeff Brom. He could be hunting for for an ACC title this year. Do I think they could win it? Yeah, I think they can make it there. I think they're a couple years away from probably competing for the ACC, championship, like actually winning the thing. But I think they could absolutely, if the right things bounce their way, do it. The thing I like about what he's doing with the coaching staff that he's bringing in down there at Louisville, by the way, you look around, a lot of these guys have been to Louisville. They're very familiar with the culture there. Very, very familiar with that culture there. They, you go back, I think I looked at it, they had Deion Branch as their player personnel development out there.
Yep.
They have Ron English, who's been their defensive coordinator. He's been around.
Oh God.
He's been around the league, and he's also been around Jeff Brom for a while. His brother, Brian Brom, who was another great quarterback there at Louisville, is his offensive coordinator. So, I mean, this is a system, and like you said, they bring in Jack Plummer, not Jeff or Jake. Geez, Jack Plummer. He knows him. Okay, he knows him. He knows what to expect here. Let's kind of throw it over here. Jack Plummer, he played with him, kind of put up some pedestrian numbers. He was kind of had a little bit of the injury bug, so he didn't really play all that much. Played sort of every time it seemed like he got an opportunity, he would get hurt, or then Aiden O'Connell kind of stepped up and became the big shit over there, right?
Oh yeah,
at Purdue for him. And so, but last year he transferred to Cal, and he had pretty much 3,100 yards passing, 21 touchdowns. I mean, he had a quietly good year. To compare that to 9 interceptions last year, I mean, he's not mobile. He's 6'5", 215 pounds. I mean, he's not gonna be Malik Cunningham or Lamar. I can tell you that right now. But what he is going to be is he's going to be a steady guy. I mean, I watched him over there, and I watched some highlights of him when he played, against Minnesota, a couple years ago. And I mean, the kid's got a good ball, man. I mean, he can throw a pretty damn good deep ball if you can get some separation there. He can put it on him.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised that Brom is going to bring in some guys that can play on the offensive side. We've known Purdue, especially me being from the Big Ten the last couple of years. Purdue puts up big numbers on offense, man. They sling the ball around, and they're going to do that with Brom at the helm at the head coaching position. There's no doubt about it. If their defense can even be relatively decent this year as far as what they've done last year, and they do return a lot of some of those starters and guys and keep that pressure on, man, they're going to be fine. And like I said, man, we've been talking about it. I think we agree on this wholeheartedly, is that Louisville is one of those kind of sleeper teams. They knock off a team. Hey, they got a chance this year. I mean, we can't write them off, man. It happens all the time in college football where there's games we sit here and do it on this podcast. Oh, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win, right? And then there's some teams in there. Shit, things change. A couple turnovers later, hell, they're in the goddamn game, right? And that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen with Louisville this year. Like you said, hypothetically, yeah, they're probably going to be a couple years out, but I will not write off Brom as a head coach, man. I think he's a damn good coach. I actually think he's one of the up-and-coming good coaches in college football right now, and I think he's proved that his whole career, man. I mean, just look at it. He's an undrafted free agent, makes it the NFL, played how many years in the NFL as a backup? I mean, yeah, we didn't hear about him, most of the nation, but I love guys like that. He's got a chip on his shoulder. That's how he worked his way up in the coaching ranks. Look at what he did with Purdue. Purdue was a fucking laughingstock of the Big Ten forever. He gets there, start bumping him up, played for a Big Ten title last year, something Nebraska hasn't done forever, right? Mm-hmm. I think he's going to carry that success over there. It's going to take him some time for sure. But Louisville is not one of those bottom feeder teams in the ACC either. They weren't last year either. So I think they got a really good head coach there, Christian. I think they're going to do fine. And we'll dig in kind of what our probably record predictions are going to be here shortly. But I like the guy a lot. I really do. I think he's a damn good college coach.
Yeah, Children of the Corn says he had a good year, but was he pushed against competition? He can definitely throw. Yeah, I mean, look, was Casey Thompson, at Texas in that soft Big 12, was he pushed before he transferred to Nebraska? He wasn't. Now, very rarely do I think when you make those kind of moves, does it work out? You know what I mean? Like if you go from the Big 12 to the Big 10 or the SEC, it's kind of iffy because you're jumping competition. This is a guy that had 3 years in the Big 10, then transferred last year to Cal, which is the Pac-12, which is at times can be a 7-on-7 league out there, right? I mean, let's not dismiss that. Now he's coming back into the ACC, so he's jumping up a little bit more. Like I said, he's got a little bit of confidence. I mean, it's not the greatest defensive conference out there. At the top, there's definitely some good defensive teams in that conference, but overall, the whole conference, no. I mean, for the most part, they've got a pretty pud schedule. I mean, probably the hardest team they're going to play, and I will say this, is going to be Notre Dame, but we'll break that down here in just a little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't have much to add to that, Christian. I think we pretty much covered what we think Brom can do and what Louisville needs to do offensively. Whether that happens or not is to be determined. But I do think that they're going to improve on offense. Their offense really wasn't that great last year, even with Cunningham behind the helm. I believe he had only 8 touchdown passes. I know he was hurt here and there. He had 5 picks. He didn't have a boatload of yards. That guy, I'm not going to get into him. I don't know really why he left, to be honest. Maybe the new coaching change. I don't know. Brom likes a guy back there that can actually sling the ball, though. I do know that. Just look at Purdue the last how many years. I mean, those guys fucking throw the ball around. Kind of remind me of a Texas Tech team back in the days with Mike Leach and those guys, personally. Probably don't throw it quite that many times, 70 or 80 times a game, but he likes to throw the ball, man. He's very big on that. And I think, like I said, if their defense can be halfway relevant, man, they're going to be in games, and they can get in those shootout games and, play a little bit of defense here and there and be able to maybe shock somebody, get in that, like you said, ACC, title game somehow. If that does happen, I wouldn't write Louisville off. I think more than anything, I think me and you, just to wrap this up real quick on my end with the preview, is that Louisville's not a team I'm going to write off. I don't think they're just an easy fucking W for everybody in the ACC.
No, and I agree. To me, they remind me of like an arena football league, because they spread you out. They bring in all that, that motion and stuff. I mean, Children of the Corn, he said it best right here. It reminds them of Florida and the fun and gun. That's another good analogy right there. What was it with Spurrier and all them? I mean, they kind of they like to. Yeah. So I mean, I think you're right. Now they will have this. The question is, outside of Jack Plummer, I'm going to kind of scoot through this right here. One name stands out to me. Georgia State transfer Jamari Thrash. Okay, now Georgia State, he had 1,100 yards and seven touchdowns. So, I mean, they need him to step up a little bit, replicate some of that, at this level. And I think that's going to be the guy they're going to try to lean on this year here, right? Defensively, we brought up the defense. Now, the defense was really good for them last year. They're going to have to step it up because they're losing a shit ton of production. All right, but they're going to be led by defensive end Ashton Gillett and cornerback Javaris Brownlee Jr. Now, Gillett had 7 sacks last year. That's pretty damn good. You know how I feel about anytime you can get after the quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes life a little bit easier. That makes life a little bit easier for you here. The thing that really impresses me with them is Brownlee. Brownlee had 12 pass deflections last year, and that actually ties for 16th in the country.
Nice.
I mean, that's pretty damn good, dude.
Yeah, no, you're getting your hand on balls, dude. That's a huge thing. Huge. That's a turnover or not a turnover and down. That's a down wasted. You know what I mean? And that's just generated by one player. That's a very nice stat. And that's something that, I mean, I think every defensive player, they preach that a lot, especially watch the NFL, man. Pass deflections. Jesus, man.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Huge.
The question to me is going to be in their front seven. Their front seven's really got to step it up this year for me, man. If they want to kind of have another good year on defense again. So I want to see what they're breaking in some new linebackers. They're kind of getting some, some other, some edge players and nose players are kind of getting them broken. So they're going to have to kind of figure that part of it out. But I mean, to me, if they can kind of replicate some of that and then get these guys on the same page early in the season, get them going, getting them after the quarterback, I think they're going to be just fine.
Yep, and I'll leave it at that, Christian. I don't have much on the preview here left. I mean, I think we talked about them enough as far as what we think and what we see as far as returning players and things like that. Like I said, man, I'll just stand on the fact that I think Louisville is not a pushover team, and I think that's kind of why we wanted to do this deep dive on them a little bit because, not saying hypothetically, hey, we could be right in 3 months, 4 months that they're playing for an ACC title. That's not what we're saying. But I think Louisville's a team that's not a pushover team in the ACC. It could make a little noise out there. A lot of hype is about Florida State, Clemson. Louisville's not a pushover team. 8-5 last year. I know I think they were 4-4 in conference, which wasn't the greatest. But man, Jeff Brom, I'm big on Jeff Brom, man. I like that guy a lot. He's one of my probably top 10 coaches in college football, and I like him. I've seen what he's done with Purdue, and they've beaten the shit out of Nebraska. I love his mentality. He's a no bullshit type of guy. And I love that. He is a tough nosed dude. He ain't going to take no for an answer type of guy. And I like that. And I think it was a great hire to end this with Louisville. Perfect for their program.
I think so too. He fits the culture. I mean, I see him more at Louisville than I do at Dion at Colorado. That is, that's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right. So let's, you bring up a good point here. Let's get into the 2023 Louisville Cardinals record prediction. Let's bring their schedule up here. I will get you right here. There we go. Okay. Right. Man, what are you thinking here, Chris?
Well, I'm going to say this much, man. Georgia Tech, you want me to just rip through this real quick and just give you my prediction?
Yeah, go for it.
You want to bounce back and forth?
No, you go for it. I got you.
All right. No, that's fine. No, Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech is going to be a tough team. I think Georgia Tech kind of leads that series, if I'm not mistaken. But Tech is going to be down to me this year, just with the losses of some of their key players transferring. Kind of what's going on with that program. They're kind of a weird program, in my opinion. We'll maybe touch on them someday, but I'll give a W to Louisville here. Murray State, Indiana. I've watched a ton of them. I am not. This isn't the Indiana of a couple of years ago with Penix back there. This is a different fucking team. Boston College, not done. To me, real quickly, like Louisville's going to roll through the first 4 games. NC State, to me, and maybe this is a hot take for just this particular topic, but they might be a little tough. NC State's not a scrub team in the ACC. I think that's kind of a coin flip game. I'll give Louisville the edge there, but I'm not like die hard and put a lot of money on that type of game. Notre Dame to me is a loss. Notre Dame is just physically more imposing, a better program, been around longer. They got more people like that. Notre Dame, me and you have already dug super deep on Notre Dame this year, Christian. I think you would both agree that this is a win for Notre Dame. If it isn't, I wouldn't be completely shocked, but it's one of those games where it's like Notre Dame definitely needs to win that game. So I'll take Notre Dame there. So the first L for Louisville there. Pitt, I'm kind of high on. I think that's another kind of toss-up game as far as my opinion goes. Duke, I'm not worried about. They're not getting that 10-win season like you were talking about in the last podcast. Wink, wink. No, Virginia Tech, Virginia, not worried about either of those teams. Miami, I'm honestly not worried about them. I haven't been high on Miami now for a while. Kentucky is kind of a wish-washy, kind of don't know what they're going to do with Will Levis being gone type of team. But overall is kind of where I see Children of the Corn is close to where I'm at here. He says 7-6. I say 8-4, Christian, and I don't really know exactly pinpointing where those losses are going to be. I can tell you Notre Dame. I could see an NC State. I could see even a Pittsburgh, maybe a 3-game losing streak there. I could also see him slipping up against a Kentucky, maybe even a Miami, but that's just me personally. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the rundown here with Louisville, bro.
I swear you're going to think that I'm like copying you, but I'm not. I should have just started it off. I have them going 8-4 as well.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I got them going 8-4. Georgia Tech, they're rebuilding. You know, they're going to have – Georgia Tech's going to be damn good, dude, but it's going to take them a couple years to kind of get where they need to go. They finally got the right guy back there for them in Brent Key. I mean, he's a Georgia Tech guy sticking with the trend of, you know, getting your alma mater pushed back. I like it. To me – Here's where I'm at with it, dude. I think they start off the year, you know, really hot. I think they start off undefeated all the way up until Notre Dame. I think that Notre Dame game is going to catch them a little bit by surprise because of the lack of, or the big talent, you know, the big difference in competition up until that point is going to be pretty obvious. So I think Notre Dame beats them. I've got a loss because it's at Pittsburgh. Now, if the game was at Louisville, that'd be a little bit different. So I'm going to go Notre Dame, Pittsburgh. They're going to beat Duke, Virginia Tech, and Virginia. So they'll get back on the winning ways there. At Miami and Kentucky, man, I like Mario Cristobal. And I think he's going to do a damn good job of getting them built up. But that's a toss-up game to me. I'm going to give it to them just because it's at Miami and Kentucky. I mean, they're getting NC State quarterback Devin Leary over there. That's going to be pretty interesting. Again, I think they have losses Notre Dame, Pitt, Kentucky, and Miami. Is kind of where I'm at with it. I think that now could they in a weird way probably lose to someone they shouldn't lose to, like Duke, and beat somebody they shouldn't beat, like maybe Miami or Kentucky? Yeah, 100% that could happen. I think 8-4. I think that's a pretty solid. It's a pretty solid way to run it. I originally was going to probably put them at 9-3, but I don't know. 9-3 first year, that's pretty tough. Oh. I mean, if they hit 9-3, you know, under the right circumstances, and they very well could, then their chances are they might be playing for the ACC.
Yeah, no, and you're exactly right, Christian. I'll kind of wrap this up as far as the schedule goes. I don't see, you know, is there some scenario here, Christian? I guess I'll ask you a question that they could go 10-1, only lost to Notre Dame. I mean, with this schedule, do you think there's a possibility? I know everything in a real world, you know, you could anything's possible, but I mean, do you see that happening at all with Jeff Brom, who we're very, very, very high on?
You would have to have probably one of the greatest one and done transfer seasons, I think.
Okay.
In this modern era to go 10-1, you know, you would. I mean, I can't remember off top. Did Jalen Hurts, did he go 10-1 when he was at Oklahoma? I don't think he did.
Yeah, they had some crazy record in, you know, it is Jalen Hurts, who obviously is not quarterback for Louisville. No. You know, so, I mean, here's I guess I'm going to throw back one more question here. Just because we talk about certain topics, and I know we catch a lot of fucking flack for some of the hot topics because people I don't think truly understand what we're talking about at times. But do you think Duke or Louisville has a better chance at a 10-win season?
Oh, I'll go Louisville all day. Yeah. All day.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, children of the Corn better buy that Georgia jersey if Duke even starts sniffing 10 wins. Because I have to buy the flag.
Super fan. There we go.
So, but I want to pause for just a second here. He's gonna like this. I think we got a little something, before we get into tonight's hot take here. You know, Children of the Corn, you're gonna be proud to know. You're gonna be very proud to know that we're gonna be doing a live stream of the Nebraska game on Saturday. We're gonna be doing a mock draft on Friday night too, so we're gonna have content galore this weekend.
Oh, can't wait, Christian. Just to interrupt you there, quick, man. Mock draft's gonna be fun if anybody follows NFL, and I hope this catches kind of the masses as far as like the YouTube world goes, because like me and Christian are obviously big NFL guys too. We love college football. Don't get us wrong, but I think the NFL draft is like one of those things. Like if you're a college fan, man, I think you got to love the NFL draft. I know very few people that don't follow the NFL after you. Like, you know, everybody loves certain players in college, right? Christian, you do. Stetson Bennett, right? You want to kind of see where he lands, right? That's your boy. That's your brother from another mother, right? I mean, no, I think we're super hyped. So no, we're gonna be hitting that up on Friday, and then Saturday. You know, we're gonna be doing live game, you know, live coverage of the spring game for Nebraska. I know this is not just a Nebraska or a Georgia channel by any means, but I'm really, you know, looking forward to talking about Nebraska. I think they're kind of one of these teams, new coach under Matt Rule. You know, a lot of hype right now. I think even if you're not from Nebraska, a lot of people Matt Rule's been seen everywhere, dude. He was just at WWE the other night. This guy's everywhere, dude. Christian. I mean, he's making appearances everywhere, trying to get kids recruited. Man, I love it. By the way, I love it. You didn't see that with Scott. You sure didn't see that with the old man Mike Riley. I mean, I'm super pumped, man. For Nebraska season, I think a lot of Nebraska fans are. A lot of good hype coming out of this state right now, man. And like I said, I think, you know, touching on their spring game, kind of breaking it down, kind of what we see. And me and you've been watching a lot of college football the last 20, 30 years, basically. Like, we really want to dig deep into them and give our 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see it. I mean, he says it's Nebraska, not Georgia. Hey, look, I get it. And I called Chris this weekend. I was like, I might have been a little wrong on him. You know what I mean? I might have taken it back and off a spring game. But look, I still get excited. I think, you know, everybody says you can't really learn much from a spring game. I say bullshit. You can absolutely start to figure some things out. Now, you're not going to get the full picture of it and everything like that. He asked the question, I wanted to answer this. How hard do I think it is for Frank being at the spring game? Like I said, I think it's tough. I mean, you know, like I said, I mean, it's your alma mater. It's a place you coached at, you know, for Old Solage. I mean, just to see how drastic I think the landscape of college football has changed over the last 20 years. I mean, it's got to be tough. I mean, things they were doing back in the 90s, early 2000s compared to now, you know, it's just a different brand of football. I hear it every day. Oh, you know, they're soft and you know, you can't run the ball like you used to. You got to throw it and you got to we need to get back to run, you know, it's all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be tough for Frank, you know, probably looking at where it's at, but I think he's going to get some good things there. Plus, I mean, you know, you're the old ball coach somewhere, you know, he's not Tom Osborne, but he's up there, right, on that Mount Rushmore of Nebraska.
Sorry to jump in, man, but he's one of those pinnacle coaches that, you know, wasn't a head coach for super long, but did, you know, bring us to a national title game against the 0-1 Miami team. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't give a fuck what team you put against that team. We didn't deserve to be in that national title game, but long story short, I mean, Frank's the guy that recruited me, man. Frank's a great guy, man. I think he's a hell of a ball coach, man. You know, he's probably pretty stuck in his ways, an old school ball coach, man. But I mean, what he's done, even when he was at Ohio, what he did there, still ran the option football. You know, and he did obviously, you know, change his mindset and how he runs offenses. If we're going to touch on Frank here quick, but no, the guy knows football, man. I mean, he's been successful anywhere he's been, and he still holds that, you know, Nebraska dear to him, dude. And that's what I love about a guy like that. He never changed. He didn't waver. He didn't have to reinvent the wheel wherever he went. You know, even though it didn't really work out here, that was for, you know, I'll get into that maybe some other day about personal reasons why he was let go, but. The guy is a great dude. He loved Nebraska. I mean, that's all you can ask for from a kid from Nebraska, dude. I mean, you did a great job here. I mean, he had a hell of a record here when he was a head coach. So better than anybody since him, by the way. So that's all you can ask. I'm just getting a little personal there with the old Solage thing, man. But he's it's going to be tough for him. I guarantee 100%, man. He spent a shit ton of times on that sideline here in Nebraska. A lot of years.
Well, you ready to move into what should surely piss off a lot of Gators fans?
Woo! This is my favorite fucking segment of every fucking podcast now after reading comments this last weekend, man. If anybody checked that shit out about the Florida thing, people By the way, there was a lot of chit chat going on between people. I just had to see some of this. Christian, give it to me real, brother. You brought it up last week. I know you were coming with this one. I knew it with the Vandy garbage you got on today.
Yeah, and I know right as we were getting off, we'd kind of teased this last week, and yeah, some people were like, hell no, there's no way. Well, hold on one second. Not so fast. But there's some video proof out here that I want to kind of show. So, hot take of the week here. Vandy finishes ranked higher in the SEC East than Florida.
Love it. I'm betting some money on this. If there was a one of those deals on Vegas about this, dude, I'm on it, dude. Because now I just, as much shit as I've seen and catching shit, and this is not personal against Florida at all. I thought we've done really good takes on them, Christian, and been very realistic. For some reason, we catch a lot of flack, and I don't know why that is. But we've touched a hot spot there with that. And Vandy's not going to be a pushover this year, Christian. I think you got the gear on, man. Bring it to us real. Where do you think this goes?
All right. So first and foremost, I've seen Vandy play, in person. That was a couple years ago, and they may or may not have lost to Georgia like 66-0 or 62-0, something like that. So, yeah. But that was Clark Lee's first year, over at Vandy, and ever since then, they've got a lot better. I know I've got some solid betting advice here. Again, from Children of the Corn Superfan, says bet the farm. Let's go. No, here's kind of where I'm at. Look at last year where they finished. Last year in the SEC East, they finished dead last. Like, don't get me wrong. They were 2-6, but they were 5-7 overall. Huge win there. And they were a game back from tying Florida last year. And they beat Florida last year. Make no mistake about it. They beat Florida like a redheaded stepchild.
Oh, yeah. And it felt great.
Here, and I said this on another pod here, right? They're bringing back. They're one of two teams this year bringing a starting quarterback back. So they bring back AJ Swan. Now, last year he kind of started to catch on fire, and he started some games for him a little bit, right? 1,200 yards, limited action, 10 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions.
2 interceptions.
I mean, he didn't do too bad. If I'm not mistaken, let me click on this a little bit further. I want to check something. Okay, do not click on his rushing stats. He had negative 76 rushing yards. So
got sacked a lot.
Yeah, he okay. But here's what I really like about this kid, Chris. I'm gonna show you something a little real. What does that say right there?
Oh God, Cherokee
High School. And what city is that in?
It's Canton, Georgia. Oh boy, here we go.
Canton, Georgia. Now I did something a little real for you right here. I put in the old Google Maps high school
shit
in relation to his 16 minutes, 12.5 miles.
So can I ask a question before you go balls deep here?
Yeah.
I know you Georgia people are like really simple people, right? Are you guys like related in some fucking weird way?
No, we are not related in some weird way. That would be crazy.
Out there, I know some stuff is going on. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
As a no, we are not related in some way. That would be a coincidence, to say the least. But no, man. Here's the reality of it, though, dude. I mean, we grew up, growing up, Woodstock and Cherokee played each other every year. I mean, that's kind of like y'all's Wisconsin, if you will, Nebraska versus Wisconsin. So it's a good rivalry. Anyways, now that we've talked a little bit of Georgia high school football, let's get back to it here a little bit here. Look, they're bringing back a quarterback. I think the reality of it is, let's take a look. They start the year off at Hawaii. I'm not gonna really break their schedule down here. Hawaii, Alabama A&M, at Wake Forest, UNLV, Kentucky, Missouri, and then they go at Florida.
They got a relatively tough schedule here, especially at the end there, 3 out of 4 on the road.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. They are playing Georgia, and they are playing, Ole Miss, Auburn, South Carolina, Tennessee. Missouri plays them tough every year. Kentucky's not going to be a slouch. Man, I think Vandy's improving, and I think this is the year where they shock some people. Now, am I going to say that they're going to beat Tennessee, or am I saying they're going to beat Georgia? Fuck no. I will not say that. But, and we'll do a Vandy breakdown here very soon.
Oh, boy.
Could they beat Missouri? Maybe.
Oh. Yeah, no, they could.
Yeah, it could. Could they beat Kentucky? I mean, Kentucky's losing some big pieces this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, they are, and they had a team that sucked last year. If it wasn't for Will Levis and a shitty rest of the squad.
Yeah,
so they're unknown. They're unknown. I mean, a lot of those teams unknown. Florida. Let's just touch on it here, Christian. Let's fucking just say it. I mean, we caught a lot of flack. I mean, some people are thinking Florida's going on an 11-1 season this year. They're coming off back-to-back losing seasons. I'm not impressed with Florida. I haven't seen anything from that 7-on-7 other than that debacle of an offensive performance. I'm going to piss some people off here, and I don't really care. Do we need to touch on it again? I mean, Florida is not the upper echelon here of the SEC. You know what I'm saying? They're not. I'm not saying Florida's going to be terrible this year. That might be legit, but they could be in the same boat as a fucking Louisville team in the ACC type of thing.
Oh, you're exactly right. I'm going to leave you with two things here, okay? The first thing I'm going to leave you with on this is, whenever you got to start making excuses, and that seemed to be the commonality there on that video we did about Florida. There was a lot of excuses. A lot of excuses were getting thrown around. Let me tell you, the great teams, they don't make excuses. I mean, that's just not what you do. Alabama's not out here making excuses for why they didn't go to the playoffs last year. Yeah.
Yep.
They're just back to business. Georgia, losing a shit ton of players in the transfer portal happens every year. They're not making excuses. USC, I'm just saying, either getting better or you're getting bitter. Now, here's the last thing I'm going to leave you with. Here's the last thing I'm going to leave you with here. The eye in the sky does not lie. Eye in the sky does not lie. What's this? We got a little bit of film here. Is that right?
Oh shit. Okay. Okay. So I got to ask, if you were, oh boy, that guy just throw the deuces up?
He did. That was
Tyreek Hill.
That was a very quick thing in their spring game. Okay, I'm going to hit play on this again. It was a 4th down here, just spur of the moment. They said, let's go for it. I think it was like 4th and 8, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, 4th and 8. Now, we'll see. Boom, little slippage there, little, just boom, just ran right by him, bro. Dusted him, threw up the deuces.
Okay.
All right. You're going to say, well, that's against Vandy. Well, whatever. Okay. Well, hold on one second. What is this?
The fuck was that?
It's a little missed field goal action, if I'm not too mistaken, right there.
Okay.
Let's kind of.
And then hit the old the upright there and bounce down. Okay.
Yeah. Hold on now. We got a little more for you here.
Oh.
This is a goal line situation. Okay, it's a goal line situation right here. All right. That's elite defense right there, Chris. Now, that's what
I've seen.
Definitely. That is called elite defense. Let me
quarterback's fault there, or the guy running the wrong in route, but
yeah. That guy right there would not have dusted him. He would not have dusted him in that situation right there if that ball was thrown right where that little separation in that A was, right? Because he has inside leverage. He's not letting him. He's not giving that up, right?
Right, but where the fuck is the ball thrown though?
Yeah, I mean, because again, this is just what elite defenses do.
Yeah. God, we're gonna piss some Florida people off, and I love it. Oh God, now what we got here? This is the play I've seen.
Yeah, now this right here. Let me make sure we make this a little bigger for everybody here.
Okay, it's pretty small, Christian, like your wiener. Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Now it's kind of hard to see it, but this is the last play of the game. They hit 0 right as he was getting tackled. So they actually added more time for them to kick.
Is he trying to call time out there, or what's that all about in a spring game?
Well, that's their yeah. Right about there was where it hit 0. So They added more time. Yeah, he was trying to call a timeout right there. You can't really elongate that much better than that. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing with Florida, right? It just they got a lot of growing pains, I think, that they're going to have to kind of get through this year. You know, we talk, and we were just talking about it. It's in all reality, I didn't look at that game and I didn't come out of that game and say, oh my God, their defense is elite. I came out of it and said, man, their offense
sucks.
Is going to be really, really bad. I mean, simple plays where it's just like, dude, it is a simple slant route. That guy was beat, and literally, if you just you get that ball up, touchdown.
And we talked about this a little bit even after that, Florida spring game. And of course, we caught a lot of flack, earlier about this, but like, it's not that we put a ton of credence or we're doubling down on as far as like Florida being this crazy high octane fucking team this year. No, I mean, Florida fans, I hope you guys are realistic. I'm not sure from what I've seen in the comments, but it's like you guys been 6-7 the last 2 years. Okay. You lost Anthony Richardson, so you don't have him back there. And I know a lot of Florida fans don't really seem to really be real high on him anyway, even though he's going to be a top 5 draft pick. It's more like, to me, it's like, what planet are you guys kind of living on here? And I'm not trying to get at Florida here as far as their fan base. I know they got realistic people down there. Don't get me wrong, but it was like watching part of that spring game. I mean, it's not your guys' defense is going to be good. I'll give you that. But again, like I said last week, I mean, 7-7, and they like pretty much handed the one team, whatever, white or black or blue or whatever they do with there, 7 points anyway to tie it up. Then you got to add extra time. I guess I'm just kind of lost. If that were me, and I said it last week, Nebraska, I'd be like, holy shit, we got some problems on offense, Christian. This is going to be tough because, again, Christian, this isn't the Pac-12. This isn't the Big 12. This isn't the AAC. This is the SEC. This is the big dogs. This is the conference that I hear about all the fucking time about being so much better than the Big Ten. I mean, I'm kind of like, if I'm a fan of Florida right now, I'm a little concerned. I mean, are you not, Christian?
I definitely am. I want to float a name out there because I thought about something. I want to kind of call this before we go much further in it. Look, if I'm Florida, there's a quarterback out there, and they already said they want to go hunt for a quarterback. I don't know if he's going to leave Texas, but man, if you could get a kid named Malik Murphy, who played in that Texas spring game, he's going to be their backup probably this year. You can go out and snatch that kid up. I like their chances a whole lot more. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Anthony Richardson, right? He can kind of help keep your team together. You're going to have him for a couple years. I mean, it could be a good building piece for you out there. So, yeah, like I said, but as it sits right now, if they don't, and they're going to have to get an elite quarterback. This whole Graham Mertz, middle of the road quarterback sort of situation that you're trying to go out and do ain't going to fix anything.
Let's talk about him for a minute, Christian. I mean, I don't know how much you watched him the last couple of years at Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
He was recruited by Bama. I heard that about 14 fucking different times during any game I watched, live last year, as far as the announcers go. Oh, he was recruited by, Bama coming out of high school. Well, to me, that really doesn't mean shit because, like, the guy didn't do anything there last year. He did nothing. I mean, he had a decent freshman year, I believe. And I mean, decent as far as run of the mill, in the Big Ten, which Big Ten style of play is definitely different. Handed the ball off to Jonathan Taylor a lot, by the way, or Allen. You know what I mean? Like Braden Allen. Like okay, but now like you were recruited probably by Bama because you could probably throw the ball, not hand the ball off. I mean, he didn't look worth the shit to me in that spring. I thought he looked worse than the other guy. Did you not?
No, I definitely did. I mean, I thought Jack Miller at least got in. They were able to kind of move the ball and do some stuff. I mean, right. To me, it seemed like they started gearing down or, really whenever they would get some momentum, they would do something dumb like turn it over or stall the drive out and it just, or take a sack. I mean, that's such a big thing too. And it's like, and it's tough, it's really tough because you get half the fan base is screaming, oh, well, they're running a vanilla concept. And Listen, I've never been a big fan of that. You run what you run, and you got to install it in spring, so you got a good idea for what you've got.
100%.
Here's the other side of it. You think about what Graham Mertz is, right? He's a system quarterback over at Wisconsin, right? Pretty much he got carried by the run game, a great offensive line, and a really solid defense, right? The longer he stayed there, except for the running back, really and truly, the worse that offensive line got, dude. So then they started getting in positions where they had to start throwing the ball to win games, and that was not their strong suit.
No, and it's not going to be. And that's where I'm going to wrap this up on my end here, because I know we're talking about Vandy, and I know, we're comparing them to Florida, but I think Vandy does have a decent shot this year. I don't know a shit ton about them. I don't have all the gear on like you do. But Florida, to me, I'll be surprised if they win 8 games this year. That's a good season to me. And I'm not a Florida person, obviously, and I'm going to get a shit ton of flack. And Florida fans love to hate on you and I, especially you, because you're a Georgia guy, and that's one of your guys' big rivals. But I mean, it's like I don't know what they expect down there, like, because your offense is just like anemic, like it's fucking terrible, like it's been terrible. And Billy Napier, we talked about this really early in the season. He has another fucking shitty year. I'm sorry, man. Florida gets athletes. I know that. Yeah, I'm not dumb. I mean, we know. I wasn't born yesterday where Florida doesn't have a recruiting bed down there, Christian. You know this too. You guys get a lot of people from there. I mean, there's talent walking around on the side of the street down there. And it's like, you got to put something together. It's, Florida's one of those teams I always think about is like Percy Harvin, Danny Warfel, Tim Tebow, all these guys that crazy good people, Aaron Hernandez, guys that they always have been having great, Fred Taylor. God, they've always had great offensive players. It's like, that's where it kind of kills me right now. It's like, God, you guys can't find anybody fast enough to burn a DB and have a quarterback that can lay it out there. Anthony Richardson, we just talked about him a little bit. We're going to talk about him a hell of a lot more Friday. I mean, it's kind of surprising to me. And that's where I'm like with Florida. It's like some of these people we see comment, I'm not just hating on them. It's all love here. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, damn, I mean, you guys got to be realistic too down there. Like, we haven't seen a lot on the offensive side of the ball, Christian, in not just 1 year. It's been several years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule now, and I don't really like to do this like this early. I'll throw this out there at you, man. I don't know. 4 or 5 wins might be kind of, if that offense plays the way they do, 4 or 5 wins might be the ceiling, bro.
Boy, what do you think about that Utah game week 1? I might be putting some money down on that Utah team. What about you?
If you think that I spent a shit ton of money to buy all this shit and get it here before today, just think about what I'm going to spend on Utah.
Hammer.
I'm going to buy some fucking Utah gear is what I'm going to do.
I'll tell you what, man, Utah, we'll go through this real quick while we're on here. We're live right now, but I mean, McNeese State, I hope you guys beat them, obviously. Tennessee is not a cakewalk. I mean, they're kind of rebuilding after the Hooker era here, but Charlotte, okay, so you're 2-2 at best, in my opinion. Kentucky, we talked about them just a little bit ago. Okay, toss-up game, whatever. Vandy, obviously, we just touched on them a lot. We're relatively high on them as far as being a decent team returning a starting quarterback, right, Christian? South Carolina, I definitely think that's a loss for Florida. Spencer Rattler, that team is going to have a lot of momentum this year. Georgia, oh my God, I'm not even going to bring it up, even though some fan in this chat or our YouTube channel seem to think that Georgia was trash. I won't touch on that. I'll leave it there. Arkansas, don't know a ton about Arkansas as far as their team is going to go this year. Fine. LSU, they'll dismantle Florida. If I got to eat crow at the end of the year, I'll do it. Missouri, it's Missouri, whatever, coin flip. Missouri does play like good teams tough for some reason. It's really weird. Florida State, I'll take Florida State all day, every day, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see more than 5 or 6 wins, dude. I really, truly don't. I think that they're going to beat some teams. They're also going to lose some games to maybe Missouri or a Kentucky where, you don't see it. I'm not high in Florida, man. I'll leave it there. I'm just not.
They always play those weird games too. Now, Grant, I understand it's not the same coach, but they always play those weird games like against Georgia Southern or whoever have you. Like, they can get upset. Charlotte could beat them. I know it doesn't seem likely, but they could lose to Charlotte. Like I said, dude, the more you start squinting at this schedule and start looking at it, and we'll break them down and we'll kind of actually go more in depth with it. there's a possibility. There's a possibility that Sunbelt Billy, if he doesn't get that offense figured out, this could be his last year.
Well, that's exactly what our hot take was about. And I don't even think now, after watching the fucking pregame, spring game bullshit, I don't really think that was much of a hot take now. I mean, if I'm a Florida fan, I'm just being realistic. I'd be like, damn, this guy might not be the dude. So I don't think we were wrong with that, Christian. I don't. We took a lot of fucking flack for that, bro.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we did. But like I said, the great thing about doing this is it's slow to pay off, but when it does, is it sweet?
Yeah. I mean, we just created this whole fan base that hates us now, and that's okay.
Yeah. By the way, it's funny you say that. I'm gonna say this. I had to look it up. So in honor of Shark Week, which, by the way, let me figure out when this actually is here. Is this Shark Week? It begins Tuesday, July 11th, and it actually ends on Tuesday, July 18th.
Yeah.
So I think in honor of Shark Week, we're going to have a Florida Hate Week.
Yes. We just created a fucking shit show, dude. Watch the fucking comments flood on this thing. Like, you guys are a bunch of fucking clowns. You guys don't know nothing about football, which we've already heard. I can't wait. I love it. Man. It's all love, by the way, dude. It's all love. Love discussing college football. People get super animated about this, and I love it.
I do. They do. But listen, we're gonna be back this week with more college football content for you. Tune in Friday around 7-ish.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I could say. We're gonna start with our live mock draft that we're gonna do in honor of next week's combine, or sorry, not combine, but next week's draft. And then on Saturday, the spring game kicks off about 1, I think, here for Nebraska. So we'll kind of jump in and we'll look to do that. So, and we're going to kind of look to just kind of keep it going, man. We're going to have a good spirited debate, drink some beers, have a good time. Children of the Corn said he volunteered for the entire week to be on the show. There we go.
All right, baby. We got some action right there. And I'll leave it pretty much with that. Like you said, Christian, I think Friday's going to be interesting. I hope everybody kind of joins in on the NFL draft. Like, we're going to have our little pregame. We don't talk a lot of NFL. I kind of probably do more than most, but like on the channel, but like it'll be interesting kind of see where we see with some of these college guys go right in the first round. I kind of think our thoughts. And the big thing is Saturday, Nebraska spring game. I know we got some Husker fans in here, man. We're going to kind of break it down, right, Christian? Live by live plays, and I should say play by play and live plays. I think we're going to be right on top of stuff, man. And like I said, I appreciate everybody watching, by the way. Like I said, we got a lot of support too off air. These shit people don't see. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, man. I enjoy doing this. I truly do this. I know I give you a lot of shit for being overweight and looking like Jared Lorenzen most days. But no, man, I love it, man. Even the Florida fan base, I love you guys. I know you guys want to hate on us. It's all love here, man. I love having a great debate. Teams not liking each other, players not liking each other, people not even liking each other. I'll do it every day, man. It's fun and what makes the world go round. So I'll leave it at that. Christian, you got anything else to wrap it up?
Yeah, man. Listen, I am a Georgia fan and I am wearing a shit ton of Vandy stuff right now. But it's not. I don't hate Florida. I mean, I dislike them, but hate's kind of a strong word. I mean, there is part of me that wants to see them get good and get relevant because look, it just makes the rivalry that much better. It really does. So, but yeah, we're going to be back at it this weekend. You guys take it easy, and like I said, we'll see you back this weekend.